Good afternoon, everyone. Today we are discussing To Kill a Mockingbird chapters 15 and 16. Question number 1 is going to be about mob mentality. So what is interesting about mob mentality? Interesting thing is that if you address everyone individually in a crowd or in a mob, the person is still a person, and a person still can relate to you on a personal level, and that's usually the way to address a group of people who are against you, who are trying to bully you on a personal level. And there is always a chance that on that one-on-one level, an individual will be acting differently. Okay, another question is extremely interesting. Here is a question of a father and son relationship, and the son in this case disobeyed the father, and yet the father still was proud of his son. Sometimes we disobey authority, but we disobey authority in order to do the right thing. There are many examples in history about this. If the authority is asking you to do something that is against your conscience, and you are disobeying this authority, you're still doing the right thing. So it's very complex moral philosophical question. Okay, another question is extremely interesting too. It's about Scout. You can always pause to read the questions and the answers. Scout is a young girl. Her language, her way of thinking and way of speaking is still pretty childish. And yet, when she was talking to the people, to the mob people, to the people who were trying to do violence, the wrong thing, she was using her own childish language, and that helped to de-escalate the whole atmosphere, which is the lesson for us to understand that very often when we, excuse me for my voice, very often when we address someone from a perspective of a child, when we are able to show ourselves as vulnerable, as we are able to show ourselves the way we are, rather than playing a game or putting on a mask. Very often we de-escalate the situation and we disarm the person who is otherwise going to be against us. Question number 4. Let me have a look at question number 2 because it relates to number 4 very much. All right, so question number 4 is over here, and I will talk a little bit about what I forgot to say while I was showing question number 2, because they're interconnected. Why Jem disobeyed his father? Because he has grown up, he has matured, and by growing up and by maturing, a person is becoming also more responsible for what's going on in the society, for what's going on around him. So he's not only concentrating on what's going on inside himself or his own life, but his eyes are being opened so he can see the struggle of the society, the struggle of his father, the struggle of people around, and he feels that he is now responsible to act. Okay, so wonderful. We're moving on to next chapter, and our first question is about Scout. It's extremely similar to the questions that we already discussed, and that's again Scout's opinion of mob is Scout's understanding of how mentality of mob works. She saw in the crowd of people who wanted to do the violence, she saw a person, a father of her friend from school, and she was not afraid anymore of the whole crowd because she saw someone who she was able to relate to. And that's sometimes what happens to us if we don't recognize the face of a person. If we don't know this person, the person can also appear to us as someone who is violent, someone who is not on our side. But when we click and recognize the person, very often our opinion can change. That's an interesting story about Dr. Raymond, the white and wealthy person of the city who was living on the other side, on the black side of the city. And at that time, the city was separated into, segregation into two different parts. And yet he was not following the mentality of the whole society. He had his own opinion. And very often you are blamed for having your own opinion. And that's the easy thing to do, just blame someone for who he really is. Just because a person is different. A good thing is to be able to follow your own guts, follow the voice of your own heart, and not to be afraid of those voices that are criticizing you. That's another example right there. So if you can pause and have a look at the actual example from the text, the idea here is that the first fiance of that gentleman who later on married a black girl, she killed herself. There is a lot of themes and topics we can discuss about that suicide. First of all, what is the reason, or is there any reason to kill yourself? Second, what are we gonna do about the situation when we feel that we are not in control of our own emotions anymore? Do we address anyone? Do we talk to the person we trust? Can we talk to an adult? Can we talk to a teacher? Can we talk maybe to a professional who might do some real help to save our life? Or do we just, are we afraid? Is it like a stigma to talk about our own mental challenges and difficulties? And on the other side, what can be the reason that you are taking away your own life? In this case, it was a reason that there was a love triangle and the person didn't want to be the third, and so I mean, I'm not saying there is any reason at all in your life for this for suicide, and never ever take it as a joke if someone shared with you those thoughts. Make sure you go and speak with a trusted professional so the person can be helped. That's again a very similar continuation of the same discussion about race and how prejudice is not only toward people of different races, people of different psychological, neurological, sexual orientations and backgrounds, as well as wealth-related prejudice, socially related prejudice. So all those things still exist in our society, and the problem with us is that we are very often shy to openly speak about things like that. We're still embarrassed. The more embarrassed we are, the less we are capable to help ourselves and to help those we love. So it's a good thing to just unite our power, our perspectives, our resources, everything we can do to support each other. And I believe that the young people can do it the most right now. Judge Taylor is an example of being different. Yeah, so that's another topic. That's a topic about people who appear to be different from what they are on one side, and on the other side is how often we are incapable to read the person correctly. The problem is that very often when we look at the person, we already establish a stereotype in our head about what we think that person is because of how the person looks, or how the person acts or talks, or what the person wears, or what's the haircut. And that's, on one side, that's a normal thing to do. That's how our brains work. But when we understand that very often that's the way our brains work, and very often we make a mistake, the understanding will help us to be more open to learning people better than just being prejudiced towards the person for whatever reason. So very often when we see the person for the first time, our opinion about that person is not correct, and then later on it can definitely change. That's interesting about symbolism. We can talk here about architecture on one side, but we can also talk here about whether we should protect our past history-wise, our old traditions, or whether we should loosen them and let them go. There should be a balance. If there is something good in history that we respect, that is part of us, we definitely should keep our roots. But if there is something bad in our history and we believe that we should change it, we should let it go. And we should not necessarily forget, but we should definitely grow out of those mistakes that our society might have done in the past. Unless we grow out of those mistakes, we continue to do them again and again. Let's have a look. Tom Robinson, he was assigned. Okay, this is a topic about Atticus, the kid's father, who was assigned the case of Tom Robinson. And you remember, Tom Robinson was accused of raping a white girl, and he didn't really do that. Why did Atticus tell their children that he had to take this case? He did not literally have to take the case. He decided and chose to take the case because he believed that this is his moral obligation. Very often we need to follow our moral obligation, the one that is inside of us, and at times it's more ethical and is much stronger than the obligations that are put on us from outside. So never be afraid to follow your own guts, your own instincts, your own heart, your own soul. This is an interesting theme or topic about respect and about the way sometimes we should remember to show respect. And in this case, you probably paused and read what the story in the particular chapter is about. But I will just add to it is that it is always important to be grateful for each and every one who is supporting us. These can be people from all different walks of life. They can be our parents, our teachers, our friends, people we don't even know, people on YouTube, people in anywhere who is doing something to help us grow. very many people are doing a lot of volunteering things for free to help support different groups of people, and it's always nice to sprinkle some gratitude around, to remember that we're connected, we're in it together, and there is a sense of unity, there is a sense of community amongst us. And in this case, children were shown respect because of how their father acted towards the community. And that's what we were talking about. This is a very interesting question about their father. Let me show it again. Their father and the way he worked. He did not use any notes. His table was absolutely empty. This can be referring to how well his brain works, how intelligent he is, how prepared, how bright and smart and organized he is. So all wonderful qualities about him. Yeah, this was the last question. I hope you really enjoyed it. What I want you to do is to always pause and read the questions that I show you to be able to discuss them. These are very interesting and important topics that we all can share. And please, in the comments down below, share your opinion about some specific theme that is touching your heart, that you want to talk more about it. And this is how we establish our community of helping each other to grow. Okay? If you feel this is a very helpful series of videos, don't hesitate to share it with those people who might need it. If you want to continue to receive videos like this, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. It's a new channel, and this is the channel for various videos in English language, as well as mental health and other topics that are appearing daily. So to be able to receive those notifications, you will need to subscribe. So put your likes, feel free to comment, and I will see you tomorrow. Have a wonderful, wonderful, peaceful afternoon. Bye-bye.